There's a new Home Depot now open on Maurice Avenue in Maspeth. And as home improvement projects go, this is a big one. Use the product locator on our app for an in-store map to find what you need fast. And check out our new pickup lockers. They make online shopping a breeze. Of course, one thing's not new, our everyday low prices. The Home Depot, now open near Maurice Avenue and Long Island Expressway in Maspeth, and always open at homedepot.com. The Home Depot, how doers get more done.
It's 50 years of the ShopRite Can sale. Now, ShopRite does the can, selling lots of brands of everything in cans. Now's the time to stock up and save. Now's the time to stock up and celebrate. Shop the can sale at ShopRite.
Christopher Media, the Toddzilla X-Pod.
A one-time disclaimer. If you're a creationist or a religious fundamentalist, if you're looking for political or religious propaganda, go away. If you think I need a little Jesus in my life, it may be time for you to find more suitable surroundings. I'll pray for you.
The Toddzilla X-Pod on iTunes and ChristopherMedia.net. Christopher Media, let's make some noise. Thank you in advance for supporting Christopher Media by clicking on the PayPal button and by clicking through to all the sponsors who support ChristopherMedia.net. If you like this show, please tell a friend. You can subscribe to all ChristopherMedia.net shows for free by clicking through the iTunes banner on ChristopherMedia.net. Please make sure to rate and comment on all your favorite Christopher Media shows. Please follow us on Twitter and like and share us on Facebook by searching for Christopher Media. Most importantly, we would like to take the time to extend an extra special thanks to you. Christopher Media could not exist without your support. Thank you for visiting ChristopherMedia.net, and thank you for listening.
What was that?
Are you really? We're starting already? I ate White Castle earlier. I'm prepared, and I'm drinking beer.
My parents.
I
withdraw my comment.
It's not quite as bad as Indian food and coffee, but, it'll do.
I had a habit of, when I worked at Guitar Center, we'd have morning meetings on Saturday mornings early. And I have to get up at like 8 or be there by 8.
Call a bunch of musicians together early on a Saturday morning.
And invariably, I would have gone out the night before, went to a bar or something, got drunk, White Castle at like 2 in the morning, roll out of bed, still kind of drunk, and
meetings
go to
are
the
scheduled
meeting.
for 8. They'd start at 9:30. Musicians.
And then I'd have to. The worst part is I'd have to hold them in because even if I could get it out silently.
Oh, you'd be ending the meeting.
Oh yeah, and there would be no question as to who the culprit was. There'd be no way I would get away with that.
What are you signing? What are you, like Picasso? Or do you have a signature scent?
Christopher Media, let's make some noise. From Asthmacore Studios near Detroit, Michigan, it's Unregimented.
Gangsters, what's up, guys?
Because we are not too good to not start out the show with a poop joke. I've noticed.
Fuck it, we go for the easy laugh.
Well, no, I've noticed we have avoided poop jokes, shit jokes.
Yeah.
Now, dick jokes everywhere. But we have successfully
avoided
till now.
We've avoided until now poop jokes. We've continued to avoid most talk of war and religion too. As many things as we do touch on.
Oh, hey, there you go. It's on loop.
Puffy remix.
Yeah, war and religion.
You can.
We don't talk about war and religion. We don't talk about comic books.
Well, I think. No, seriously, when it comes to religion, I think we all pretty much fall on the same side, so it's a pretty boring conversation. It's a bunch of...
Not unless you're on the other side we're not on.
Agnostics and atheists preaching to their choir, for lack of a better term. So,
right. Yeah.
Like, I think this is stupid. What do you guys think? Yeah, pretty much. All right, good conversation.
Yeah. So this is dumb. Yes. All right, new topic.
It feels good to be in that situation.
It's boring when you all agree.
Yeah,
the show would be, 15 minutes long. It's called We Agree.
I'm sure we'll be accused of Monday's show being like just phoning it in. Was it 45 minutes?
Yeah, well, technology sometimes forces you to make decisions.
Well, I had one buddy who was bitching about it's coming in an hour, man. I feel gypped my 15 minutes, so he's really going to be fucking red-assed when he sees 45 minutes, man.
Well, I feel flattered that...
What, does he know about the hour-and-a-half episode?
I hope he does.
I think that was episode 12.
He shares them all the time.
You can't get enough, though. It's flattering.
No, it really is. It really is.
No, lots of traction being gained, and it's fucking great, quite honestly.
Yes.
Because it's showing Hard work pays off, kids.
We're all feeling the love at Unregimented and the Weedsmen, and all the Christopher Media shows are really feeling the love, and everybody's tuning in, more and more people every day.
We are trending up. All of the lines are pointing up. And thank you for listening, liking, and sharing Unregimented on Facebook and following us on Twitter. At UnregimentedPod on Twitter. Unregimented at ChristopherMedia.net. If, you know, the old electronic email, which I still feel weird saying. The old electronic email, but is what it is. You can subscribe to Unregimented on iTunes for free by clicking through the iTunes banner on ChristopherMedia.net. Android users, you can find us Unregimented on Stitcher Radio. You can donate to Christopher Media by using the PayPal button on ChristopherMedia.net. Hey! You can help save podcasting by clicking through the Amazon banner and bookmarking the page. When you buy something, Amazon will donate a part of each purchase to the Podcast Legal Defense Fund, helping to save podcasting from those fucks at Personal Audio. I actually wrote patent trolls, but it's a podcast and I like to swear. So, if you're looking to launch your own website, click through the HostGator banner, ChristopherMedia.net. That's who we use to host all of the Christopher Media shows, like this one, Unregimented, which you know is every Monday and Thursday. The Weedsman Podcast is every Friday. Eminem Question Everything comes out on Sundays. And the Toddzilla X Pod, I'm going with whenever he feels like it on that one.
I can accept that.
He's a rogue agent. Does what he wants when he wants. But you sign up for HostGator by clicking through our link. You're hoping to support ChristopherMedia.net. Finally, DraftKings, one-day fantasy sports. You're not locked into a team for a whole season. You draft a new team every day. Christopher Media listeners are winning real money every day. That's what I hear. It's the rumor at DraftKings. Fantasy football's back in a big way. They have a $5 million kickoff bash happening opening week of football, which I believe is first full week of September, which preseason already happened last week, kids. It's back. If you like football, you can do it. DraftKings.com. Check it out. Alrighty. We're 14?
Yeah.
I lost track.
Yeah, cool. That's cool. We're starting to lose track. Although I post them, so I still kind of have track.
You know, real quick story. Did you hear that the post office lost over $2 billion for the last quarter? That's just for a quarter. That's not even for a full year.
How do they continue to operate?
Right. I know a lot of people ask the question, how do they manage to do it? They obviously don't. Yeah, it is cheap to mail something because they're losing their ass on it.
But $2 billion?
Yeah. That seemed like a lot.
3 months?
Yeah, that's
most businesses would be closing their doors if they had a quarter like that.
Well, I mean, the stamps now, you buy them now, the forever stamps.
Right.
And no matter how much stamps go up, those stamps will always be mailable for the price you bought them at. That's not even a good business model. I mean, it gets people to buy rolls of stamps now, but it just...
I'm sure it was a bit of a sales boost for them initially.
Well,
people stocked up because postage is just constantly going up. It's such a weird system because most of that money was used delivering things that nobody wanted.
Junk mail.
Things that I throw out every fucking day.
Amazon, eBay, stuff like that. Most people use like FedEx or something along those lines, correct?
Yep.
Like, no one even uses the Postal Service anymore, hardly.
Although FedEx does some weird thing where they, like, hand off packages to the local Postal Service, which I don't understand because it just means it takes, like, an extra couple days. It hangs out in this weird limbo, it seems.
Well, you don't buy your weed directly where it's grown. You know, you need a middleman. You need an intermediary.
You need a George Young.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But I think I had a point about the post office, and then I lost it. Kind of like some of the mail. Oh, no.
I was going to say, Mr. Libertarian, of course you do. It's a government-run agency that's inefficient. Go ahead and...
Yeah, get it the fuck out of here.
There we go.
That's money we could be using to...
What is up with the post office anyway? It's overseen by the government, the federal government.
It is a government agency.
Yes.
Or is it completely... I mean, you're a government employee if you're employed by the post office,
yes.
Right?
That's how come a lot of former military people back in the day, that was like one of the... They didn't want to go be a cop or a fireman. That was one of the like diamond jobs to get when you got out of the military was, I'm going to go work for the post office.
Okay.
Because the postmaster general is appointed by the president, I believe.
You mean he's really a general?
Well, he's a general in the same way as Colonel Sanders
How many
is a
stars?
colonel.
How many stars does the postmaster general have?
I don't know how he has any, losing $2 billion in 3 months, but or she. I'm not even sure anymore. But Yeah, I think
Well,
it's
the post
probably
office is good for something.
Person general.
well, it's like the Surgeon General.
It's free shipping
Right.
on Amazon if you use the
Exactly.
post office.
It has been a military person in the past, but I think it's more of a just
I
part of the
understand.
title.
Well, but that kind of makes sense when you think about going the whole idea of going postal. You know, people post office employees losing their shit and shooting up places. That seems more in line with somebody suffering from PTSD than suffering from having to walk around in those shorts all the time.
Well, I mean, think about it. When did we really first started hearing about like post office like shootings? It was what, late 80s, early 90s?
Yeah.
So you figure Vietnam ended in 75.
Right.
So the last major conflict, you have people who've probably been there 10 years. They're tired of the bullshit. Mm-hmm. And they snap. You know, it unfortunately happens. Mm-hmm. And when you go from working for one branch in the government to another, and you feel like you've been fucked by one.
Just harboring all that hate.
And then you bring that already is the expectation when you go into the other branch.
Yeah.
It's just going to get worse from there. So all I know is that as a kid, I was like 12. I walked into a post office and made a joke about going postal and shooting the place up. And was quickly advised by the armed security guard that even though you're 12, that's not a really smart thing to do.
Whatever, dick, you going to hit a 12-year-old?
I remember getting lectured at the post office one time when I had to go buy a bunch of stamps to mail out wedding invitations. I went with my fiance at the time. We had our choice of stamps. You know, you go there and they have all the different ones, and so we can pick.
Pick the fat Elvis.
Well, no,
Hey, postage stamp jokes unlimited.
For whatever reason, I vocalized my dislike for the flag stamp. It's just, boring, generic kind of stamp. I wanted to do something cooler. And I was chastised by the Postal Service employee. It was like, there's nothing boring about our flag and what it represents. And I'm like,
this is why you're losing $2 billion a year.
just relax, buddy. Okay. First of all, I'm entitled to my opinion, even if I thought the flag was ugly. But that wasn't what it was about.
Well, yeah, you always have people who are way overzealous, especially about...
They're over patriotic and looking for an excuse to anybody who says anything negative about the country. They will jump on you.
Exactly.
When our country's based on criticism, that's one of the freedoms. Our freedom of speech is one that we enjoy, and it allows us to openly have discourse and criticize our leaders.
It's like you want me to play it.
In theory.
Well,
it's like you're requesting.
Yes, I know. America, fuck yeah.
No. Not in theory. I mean, unless you've got an example that I'm not thinking of, but...
Well, no. I mean, talk about it. Nowadays, I don't really see a whole lot of discourse. I see a channel that panders to one side, channel that panders to the other, and then they get two talking heads that yell at each other. There's no...
Right, but we still enjoy these freedoms.
Oh, yeah.
We can say negative things about our leaders or our government and not wind up in jail or...
Okay, how about you live through the week? Will you buy that one, Rich?
I'm just saying, freedom of speech, just watch what you say. You post the wrong thing on the internet, and they'll come knocking on your door.
That is still freedom of speech. Freedom of speech has consequences, no doubt.
Exactly. Okay.
Your speech has consequences.
No, I understand.
You will still be living.
But
some countries that may not happen.
It's the difference between being the consequences that society will put upon you versus the consequences that the government will directly put upon you if you live in other countries like China, for example, where
North Korea,
where you can't even
dissent is not.
The thought didn't even enter your brain. You did not know that you could dissent in North Korea.
Yeah, I understand. I don't know. Yeah. I'm just. I'm having a little bitter of a day here, so forgive me, guys.
Well, I mean, there certainly are examples of our freedom of speech being impinged upon. Recently, the scandal about the IRS, you remember this one? How they thought that they were unfairly auditing Republicans.
Oh, Tea Party. Groups that were sympathetic to the Tea Party and Republican policies, yeah.
Yeah, that was, and that's not freedom of speech because that's consequences for you speaking your mind. Mm-hmm. That's direct consequences if that did indeed happen. Which everything I read on it was pretty inconclusive, honestly.
I go back to my uncle. He became an ordained minister, and he's like, "How come I can't walk into a federal building and start praying?" I'm like, "I believe you can."
Yeah, you can.
You just can't. Your government can't sanction one religion over another. Well, this is a Christian country. I'm sorry, where's Christ mentioned in the Declaration of Independence?
Right.
Yeah.
Or the Bill of Rights? God is.
And for that matter,
there's a prayer station at a city hall in Warren.
Really?
Yeah.
Does it help the city of Warren? Because from what I've seen when I drive through, it doesn't.
No, but it
should be one on every corner.
No shit, right?
It's non-denominational though. It's just a general
right.
Well, yeah.
But dude, you got Hamtramck, dude, at fucking, was it noon every day?
Well,
they're playing the Muslim prayer.
Right. Yeah.
Really, Hamtramck?
Screw Hamtramck. We have Dearborn. I mean, this is like the largest population of all different groups from the Middle East. A lot of Chaldeans. Mm-hmm. There's some Iraqis, people from Syria.
And people are just fine with that. But if that was the Our Father or the Hail Mary, holy shit, the ACLU would be jumping all over the, don't be forcing that.
I think a lot of people just don't give a shit. I don't know if they're cool with that.
We muddy this issue so much, though. I mean, we lump it in with the, the City Hall. It was somewhere down south, the City Hall that wanted to put the
Georgia,
10 Commandments.
The 10 Commandments.
Yeah, thank you. We lump it in with shit like that. Now, that's the difference. That's your government promoting a religion, saying this is the one true religion that everybody should be following.
But that's the local government okaying it.
That's against our Constitution. Having prayer in a building is not. That's actually, I mean, if you work for, especially if you work for the government, but if you work for anywhere and you get denied your rights based on your religious beliefs. No, as long as it's
a private place, you can have it in a public building. But I'm talking about, how come there is no uproar so much about these prayers being blasted out publicly over the air raid sirens in certain cities? Because
those cities have concentrations of Muslims that is how they're used to hearing that call for prayer.
Try to do that in the city we live in with the Hail Mary the Our Father, where the population is predominantly Catholic, and see how long it lasts. Maybe one day.
Okay, predominantly Catholic, but how many of those are practicing Catholics?
Doesn't matter.
I think it does matter because you have a situation. Ideally, it doesn't matter, but you have a situation here where these Muslims do practice their religion and do so. I don't know how many. 4? Is it 4 times?
5 times.
5 times a day.
There's proof every half a mile that there's Catholics that practice all around. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
It couldn't go.
There's church bells.
My whole point is, and then there's clock tower bells.
Okay.
My whole point is it couldn't go the other. The way I judge something is if it couldn't go the other way, then it's not.
It's just noise pollution.
It's
That's
not
the
equality
issue.
if it couldn't go the other way.
I understand, but also I think
I'm not disagreeing with your point.
Exactly.
But I think you're off base on this issue.
If you're Muslim and you want to pray to Mecca 5 times a day,
you can. I'm not saying you can't.
Knock yourself out. If you're a Christian or Catholic and you want to do the rosary and all that good shit, or fucking holy roller and want to fall around and handle snakes, just fucking do it by yourself, with like-minded people, and leave everybody else the fuck alone. That's where I come off.
Why has it got to be over the loudspeaker?
Well, yeah,
over the entire city. You couldn't do that with the Hail Mary, the Our Father.
It's not mandatory.
You can do that with Jewish prayers.
Everybody have to pray when that happens. It's not mandatory. And if there was
I guarantee you, not everybody that lives in Hamtramck is Muslim. I can guarantee.
Well,
I can take you down. I can take you down south outside of Chattanooga, Tennessee, to McDonald, Tennessee, and areas where my family lives around Chattanooga, where they have noon prayer. And yes, it is broadcast. I mean, it's not loudspeaker fucking air raid siren broadcast, but it is broadcast. Mm-hmm. And God forbid you're not one of the people who even just acknowledge the moment of silence.
Yeah.
If you go about your shit, you're looked at
It's my right to not acknowledge that because I don't,
But you will be ostracized in that community.
Sure. But this is kind of like when we're talking about freedom of speech. It's the same thing with freedom of religion. You have... Ideally, you can practice your religion or your lack of religion without consequence as far as the government's concerned, but there's still society that will put pressure on you. Now, in this case, we're talking about localized societies. We're talking about Hamtramck is predominantly Muslim.
See, I thought Hamtramck was more Polish.
It used to be.
Really? And the demographic has switched that much in the last 10, 15, 20 years?
My point with Muslims is your point that you made with not everybody's Catholic. Not everybody lives in not everybody who can hear that fucking prayer is Muslim. Not everybody Camp Tramik does not have a 100% Muslim population. Forcing religion on people.
Right.
That's my whole beef with it.
This is where you get into these weird gray areas where that is part of practicing their religion. It's all about freedoms butting up against each other,
What
right?
if part of practicing my religion was walking out of my front door naked at noon every day?
But it's not.
What if it was?
But it's not. You can't make that argument because it's not. That's not a valid argument. We're not talking about something that like David Koresh made up and this is something that's been going on for thousands of years. So let's deal with it from that aspect.
Okay, but also, hold on a sec. Even if they just 5 times a day throw down the prayer mat, whip out the prayer beads, put I don't know what they call their prayer headgear. I know it's not a yarmulke, obviously. That's the Jewish folks.
Prayer helmet.
Whatever it is. But even if they do that in public,
put on your prayer cap.
It's not breaking a law. However, you running out of your house butt booty naked screaming about the banana god. You can scream about banana god. You just better have some fucking clothes on or else that's indecent exposure. And that's where...
If I get a few followers and a tax ID and start paying taxes to the government, then can I do it?
I don't know how that worked for Jim Jones.
Well, I'm not going to give everybody, shitty Kool-Aid. My end game isn't mass
They're
murder.
getting Crystal Light, man.
I just want to walk out, dong swinging on my front porch.
Well, then you know what you do? You move out to outside of Tucson, Arizona. Believe me, there's no one around. You walk around just butt ass naked all day. Trust me, I've lived out there.
Okay, I guess this is kind of valid because this is an example of you have your personal freedoms butting up against other personal freedoms, other people's personal freedoms. You could say, yeah, it's within my right to walk around naked, but it's also within everybody else's right to not have to see you naked.
So then it's my right to not have to want to hear those prayers. It's my right to not have to hear those prayers.
Yeah, but hearing something is not...
But this is...
Unless it's yelling fire in a crowded theater along those lines, which is where freedom of speech starts to end when you endanger other people with your speech. Hearing a prayer does not endanger you. Can I play this stupid card?
I'm not religious, and I'm offended. Can I play that card? Huh?
Well, this is how come a couple of podcasts...
Can I turn society's fucking ass right around on itself?
This is how come a couple of podcasts ago I said myself, I'm offended every fucking day. I just don't let it become my reason for being that day. Like, oh my God, I just saw someone walking up and down in front of an abortion clinic.
Yeah. But maybe what I'm chasing down here too is, how did those even get there? Somebody probably another squeaky wheel is probably how that's even happening.
Oh, definitely. The people who bitch the most and complain the most are always going to get the most
people
attention.
Who organize. That's what really makes a difference. And you have people who are organized, a large group of like-minded people that want to practice their religion.
Freedom to your religion is also my freedom to no religion. Do it in your house.
I believe
Don't put it over the goddamn air raid sirens.
I think I might be more sympathetic with you if it was in English, right? The fact that I don't understand any of what they're saying. I kind of like the sound. I've been in a lot of mosques before. I think I mentioned this before, but I've installed sound system in mosques, and so I have them try it out, and they do their prayer for me, and it's beautiful. It really is, especially when you have the right person doing it.
You're going to be on a list for saying everything you just said.
But I have
TSA's writing things down.
But I have no idea what they're saying. Now, if I was driving somewhere and I heard all this stuff in English about how there's only one true God, and if I don't believe in that I'm going to hell, I would probably be personally offended by that.
So your racism is making you tolerant?
No. How is that racism? All I'm saying is maybe I would see
it fucking English I'd care.
Maybe the only reason I don't see it your way is because I've separated it from religion, because it doesn't even... I don't even respond to it like it's something religious.
I've also been tempered, unlike you gentlemen, I have been tempered in the Kool-Aid. I like to say I made it out.
Right. So you have a personal vendetta against organized religion.
It's not even that. But maybe it is, but it's just first decade and a half of my life. Loved the Kool-Aid, knew how to make it. People used to joke I was going to be a priest, which...
Yeah, but you have to be at least somewhat bitter just from having to... Well, first of all, feeling like you've been lied to the first half of your life.
No. It is... Dude, if you want to figure out how to make something successful, don't study marketing strategies. Study religion. I still go into church. I know all the fucking prayers. I haven't called myself what people would call a practicing Catholic. It's probably about 17, 18 years old. Well, 18. I'm 35 now. So almost half of my life, I still know all the prayers word for word. I know when to stand. I know when to sit. I know when to kneel. I still know the fucking songs. It's fucking ridiculous.
Wait a minute, though. But when they sing in the Catholic Church, it sounds like the Omen or something. Oh, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I kind of get scared. You know, I mean, it's like, this is some creepy shit. But no, he is right. I remember this at Specs. We shared a studio for like a week or two to do a project. Mm-hmm. And I left one of the books that I was reading out, and he's like, "Oh, you're reading Dante. You're reading the Divine Comedy." And I'm like, I'm not going to say he was the only one in our class that would have recognized that book and knew what that book is about, and the historical significance of that book.
Other people were like, "Is that book about Nirvana?"
And they're like, it's a comedy book."
Yeah.
I'm not even joking. I'm seriously not even joking.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm going to say probably maybe him and maybe like one other person that I just never
comedy.
bumped
it's God's
into.
Joke.
Yeah. But I remember that, and I remember we kind of had like a brief conversation, and I was like, okay. And this wasn't that far from your fall from grace. Mm-hmm. So
No, because I was like, I turned 21 when I was at Specs. So, yeah, I was 20 when I started. So, yeah, no, I was fresh out of Catholicism.
I like your idea of applying religious tactics to business. So, I mean, you would just go out and, like, slander and murder your competition then, right?
Well, no, I mean, just as far as if you want to talk about branding.
I'm going to kill off the whole McDonald bloodline.
No, but I mean, if
where's that Walmart family live?
Like, just fuck branding, fuck marketing. Look at do whatever.
It's called brainwashing.
Do whatever religion does if you want to push your product on somebody and be successful.
Yeah, but don't you remember in Dogma when they're talking?
Well, that's what Apple does.
Remember in Dogma when they're talking
as I
to George Carlin?
As you pray to your false deities.
I have substituted
at the altar of Jobs. Yes. Like the only
he didn't sacrifice himself so we could all have iPads.
Oh my God! The only thing
are you able to find you with a necklace on with a black turtleneck pendant on it?
Oh shit! Yeah. The only thing worse would be is like if you dug him up and did some Weekend at Bernie shit and been like, "See, he has risen. He has risen, my fellow Apple followers." Like, set yourself up like Peter. Be the rock the church is built on. You know what I'm saying? Be the Peter of Apple.
When the singularity happens, he'll probably already be there like, I've been waiting for you.
Oh, you and the singularity. He is convinced.
The merging of man and machine will happen.
Skynet has become self-aware.
It's only a matter of time, and it's sooner than you think.
I asked somebody the other day, who do you think Skynet, Google or Apple? And they said Facebook.
I could see it. Seriously.
Yeah, there's that whole uproar over the privacy agreement that people signed for their Facebook Messenger.
Yeah,
which is why I don't use it.
So you're one of them too?
No, honestly, I don't use it because I've never downloaded it.
No, I know people who have they've deleted it off their phone.
I've never downloaded it, so I've never had...
TSA did it a year ago. Oh, I don't care. Now all of a sudden, fucking Zuckerberg's doing it, and people are outraged.
Well, what exactly is the beef about? Because it's very vague when I see my conspiracy theory tinfoil hat-wearing friends on Facebook, raging against Facebook on Facebook, which I don't even think they get the level of irony there. But
some people don't.
You know, honestly, there's bigger issues here than Facebook wanting to access your camera, microphone, and speaker at all times.
Is that what it is?
Well, that's part of the agreement. That's in the agreement.
So many apps do that people don't even know about.
Well, that's standard. It's called, being able to. That's what your FaceTime app does. I mean, they want to eventually be like FaceTime, where you can, video call other people.
I don't have any of that shit on my phone.
Well, there was an Austrian who he's filed a lawsuit against Facebook. He wanted it to be a class action suit, so he sought other people that would join the suit with him. And within a day, he got 25,000 people to join him in this lawsuit. And he cites a number of of privacy intrusions, including their help with the NSA and their PRISM program. Facebook provided information to the National Security Agency to help build their PRISM, which is their whole mastermind program to like find terrorists before it happens.
Okay. Not the database itself, but what it collects to put in that PRISM is what collects to put in the database, correct?
Let's see. Let me see if I can clarify that. It was.
Can I just say I'm not surprised?
Okay.
I know.
Claiming damages of 500 euros per user for alleged data violations by Facebook, including aiding the U.S. National Security Agency in running its PRISM program, which mined the personal data of users of Facebook and other web services. So that's how they got their database for the PRISM program.
Okay.
If you came at me and told me that the fucking government was behind Facebook and Twitter, I would I would not be surprised.
No. I'm saying
I get what you're saying. I
them.
understand what's happening, but I'm saying overall in general, like I'm not surprised
that's giving too much credit to the government to get.
Yeah, but I'm not surprised that Facebook's the first place the government went when they needed to gather information about us.
Yeah.
No shit.
I don't know.
Social networking on the internet would logically be the first place you'd think they would go.
Do you guys remember, like maybe a couple 3 years ago, you'd start seeing people post?
Most of it.
I left the door open for that one. But no, I don't know, like 2-3 years ago, I started having friends post. This post is in notice that this gives, if you're a federal agent or agency.
That garbage meant nothing.
I know, but like they really thought that
anyone who's had high school government and stayed awake in it knew that was full of shit.
Well, I think
that's
there,
like
staying awake
is
the issue here.
That's like the rhythm method.
Pulling out and crossing yourself. Oh, please don't come back in a month talking about I'm late, bitch. But no, I like people really thought that meant something, not just like my old wrinkled ass aunt who's like, every year Facebook is shutting down on this date, and she's like, oh my God, how am I going to stay in touch with you people? And you've been on Facebook for 6-7 years now. When have they ever shut down? Seriously. Oh, I hear they're going to start charging. They do this every year. Facebook will start charging on the 15th, $15 of blah, blah. I will not pay for Facebook. Repost this if you agree. And it's like, oh my God, those type people. But still, it's just proof that these people believe that. I mean, I have a friend who actually bought into that, who I truly do believe he's highly intelligent. He's just real scatterbrained.
Well, there's
talking about a subject, and then you go, and you rattle your keys, and he's like, huh?
Well, there's something to be said about a healthy
skepticism.
Yes, thank you. Yes, there's such thing as a healthy skepticism. I mean, some people take it too far. But
just because you're paranoid does not mean they're not after you. But I mean,
right.
When you start jumping at shadows and you think that everything is after you, like I have a buddy who
didn't we call those people dumbasses?
Either that or people who can't handle their high. Because I have a buddy who does not smoke weed, and I'm like, why? Because then I'll start thinking that, like, the cable box is watching me, and I'm like, dude, they're watching us through the cable box. I'm like, fuck, man, I smoke the same shit as you. How do you get that high? I want to be where you're at. What the fuck?
You know, that's another thing, too, that everybody always talks about with this paranoia. If you have a cell phone, shut up. End of argument. You know, if you've had a cell phone, I'd say since probably, 2007, 2008, anything that's been made since then has a GPS in it, whether it's active or not.
Yeah, but there's ways around it. You can get a burner. You have to dump it every couple weeks to a month, but you can get a burner.
What are you, Osama bin Laden?
No, it's just...
Yeah, but they can tap into that. Haven't you ever seen The Wire?
Yeah, but if you've seen The Wire, it takes them X amount of days to get up on it. If you're dumping it,
they had to follow a pattern first.
Yeah.
And
I have friends who, because it was such a large group of guys, we all and girls, we all grew up together. Some went into law enforcement.
Yeah.
Some went into the other side. And we all have a reunion every once in a while. We all get together, and it's like everybody checks their shit at the door, like Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. We're like, check your weapons, And we all come in, and we're all happy, and we're friends, and we reminisce, and we're free to share things. And then it's like, as they're walking out, we try to like stagger, like when the cops' friends walk out. And when the guys who are in MCs who have fucking warrants and paper on them are walking out, you know what I'm saying? Or the guy who's like got fucking shit in his trunk and we're like...
and the cop's trying to leave. Where are you going?
Yeah,
No, don't follow me. Where are you going?
Exactly.
No, just go home. Just go home.
So
You're going that way? Okay, I'm going this way.
I've been privy to information on both sides, and yeah, Hollywood and television will tell you certain things, but at a certain point, there is a grain of truth in it, and the truth does meet up in the middle. And I mean, it really is constantly, they're always one step ahead. You know, you invent a better mousetrap, the mouse gets smarter.
Yeah.
You know, then you have to invent another one. So there are ways around it, but I hear what you're saying, because who the fuck is going to buy a burner unless that's their job to not be tracked?
Right.
Mm-hmm. And if that's their job, they probably don't even own a fucking computer in their home. You know what I'm saying? I mean, if seriously.
I mean, if you're going to take your paranoia to that level, why would you even leave the house?
I'm talking about the people that like do this shit for a living that don't want to be tracked.
Oh, well, I see.
You know what I'm saying?
I see. Not paranoid people.
No, people who are paranoid because they don't want to go to prison. You know?
yeah.
But no, these
motherfuckers.
Yeah. See, I've never heard that. I've never heard that about FaceTime or anything like that. That it can access your camera.
But like fucking.
But I mean, what are you really accessing?
GarageBand wants to access your microphone and your shit at all times.
Well, seriously?
Like, like there's so many apps that like people don't realize.
So
here's wait. Let's clarify this issue though. Accessing at all times. What does that mean? It doesn't mean turning it on randomly and spying on you. It simply means running in the background.
Yeah.
Your phone and your iPad and everything else now can multitask, and you love it because of that.
So wait a minute, you're telling me every time I've used my phone to look at porn and jerk off, the fucker's watching me and recording it? It's like, do you know what he looked at?
Hey, here's nothing in your eye, buddy.
I mean, no, I know I'm putting it in a funny way, but I'm being dead serious. Like, are there apps that
no? I can't say no. But first of all, what is the incentive for a company
that what are you
to
asking?
Do that?
I guess I'm not.
What is the point of being able to access a camera to see what you're doing?
Right, to spy on you when you're doing nothing.
See in my pocket? Yeah, that's what they'll see a lot of the day. You'd see, hey, look, it's a dark pocket.
It's all. I mean, we have an evolving attitude towards privacy in this country, and I just fall heavily into the camp of I got nothing to hide. What the fuck are they going to see anyway?
Yeah, but see,
I don't want to spend hours of my life trying to erase my tracks or jump through hoops just to do something that.
But see, that's a dangerous way to look at it, because when the Patriot Act came into effect, all the people on the right were looking at the people on the left who were beefing about it and going, if you have nothing to hide, don't worry about it.
Right.
And it was like, you dirty, filthy, pot-smoking, fucking lefty commies. That's why you're against this. You got something to hide. Yet when... Okay, well, guess what? We want to do a background check before you can buy a fully automatic assault weapon. Well, I've done nothing wrong. Well, if you've done nothing wrong, what is there to hide from? So, I mean, that's why I'm saying it's a slippery slope, because at a certain point, it gets to the point where, of course, if you have nothing to hide, you shouldn't be worried about it. But I'm sorry. If I want to jerk off to some nasty, disgusting porn, or if I want to own enough firepower to scare the shit out of, the city of Waco, unless I'm doing something wrong with it, it's none of no one else's fucking business. I mean, obviously check to make sure I'm not a fucking psycho. I understand. No one who has violent criminal history should be able to own a weapon. Bottom line, if you haven't committed a violent crime, if you haven't committed, I even think if you have a drug bust in your record, you should be able to own a handgun. What the fuck does one have to do with the other? Unless you used a handgun in a drug crime.
Well, it's because right now we have this mentality that we connect drugs with violent activity. It's not always the case. It's not always going down like Scarface.
Well, that's because we treat drugs as a criminal problem instead of a mental health or a health issue, period, problem, which is really the better way to treat it. And the countries that do treat it that way get far better results than we have.
Well, man, speaking of treating mental health issues, the horrible news today that Robin Williams seems to have, he was found dead, and they are assuming that it was that he asphyxiated himself in some fashion.
And yet people close to him said he'd been struggling with some deep depression lately.
Right.
Yeah, because he just come out of rehab for like the 100th time.
And that's what I was going to say. He's also had a long history of
drug
substance abuse.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
It's probably why the depression, that you're firing off that dopamine when you're feeding that monkey.
Well, he was a manic depressive.
Mm-hmm. We were talking about this, his style of comedy too. I mean, you could tell
but
your pendulum's going to swing back the other way.
Let's come back to that, because I don't want the whole discussion on Robin Williams to be about his depression. Because when I first, I was informed through a text message from a friend. And it was real simple and short. Robin Williams committed suicide, and I had to read it like 6 or 7 times. Like my brain just could not comprehend that. And I don't know. This is especially for my generation. I saw everything from when I was a kid. It was Mork and Mindy.
Oh yeah,
and he was just the craziest, zaniest guy on television, and you just fucking loved it. And then later on, when I was at that prime age of 91, so I was 11. So from 11, 12, 13, when I'm going into my teen years, that's when Dead Poet Society comes out.
Oh, yeah.
The Fisher King comes out. Both those movies came out the same year, I believe.
Yeah.
And were phenomenal. Those were life-changing movies for me.
Even Awakenings, the one he did with Robert
De
Niro.
that's actually the first movie I saw him in.
Yeah.
And then of course Good Will Hunting.
Yeah.
See, oh man,
that's the one he won the Oscar for.
I've never seen that.
You've never seen Good Will Hunting?
There's a lot of movies I haven't seen.
Good Will Hunting is. I had friends and family who were like, Robin Williams can't be serious. Like, have you never seen Dead Poet Society?
Right.
And I tried to sit through it, and they were just like, "It's not enough shit going boom." And I'm like, "Fuck, all right." Like, here's Matt Damon and Ben Affleck and Robin Williams in a movie. Try watching this, and they were like, "Oh, that's a really good movie." And I'm like, "That's a Gus Van Sant movie,"
Yeah.
I know you're not watching Even Cowgirls Get the Blues after this,
right.
So you know what I'm saying? There's no Last Days or Elephant in Your Future,
Did you ever see Jerry? That was one of his darkest movies that I ever did. It was with Matt Damon and Affleck's brother, Casey Affleck.
Where they get lost in the desert?
Yeah.
Yes, okay, I have seen it.
That's a fucked up movie.
Yes, it is.
But, I mean, it's slow. It's one of the slowest moving movies, but it's so worth it. It's so worth it.
I see. There's a couple things I want to touch on with the Robin Williams thing. I think
let's not get off track on this.
One, a lot of comedians have such issues with depression,
right?
That I'm thinking that a lot of comedy comes from pure misery.
We were talking about
exactly that. It's I think my comment was that comedy comes from what's the word I used? God damn it,
misery.
No. Conflict.
Overcoming
strife.
Shit in your past, basically, is what you said.
You either have people around you persecuting you, or you just hate yourself.
Mm-hmm. Oh, definitely.
So you're fighting something, and it's drawing humor as either a self-defense or a way to cope with those feelings.
Oh, definitely.
And then you take that, and usually, actually, you put that person in a situation where they're somewhat isolated, like kids who move around a lot, or kids who were sick when they were young, and they were kept away from their peer group, and they're able to kind of develop on their own. And then you get like brilliant comedians out of that usually, and actors and musicians. That's great. Personal strife is great for creative energy.
I also think it is, and this is why I think that so many comedians have issue with people like Dane Cook.
Okay.
Which,
real quick, I was telling him, without Robin Williams, you don't get Dane Cook.
Oh no, not at all. But
which some comic snobs would be like, good, But
I understand that. But I mean, it's the same way as without Jimi Hendrix, we wouldn't have John Frusciante. But without Jimi Hendrix, we wouldn't have C.C. DeVille.
Yeah,
I'll ignore C.C. DeVille and listen to John Frusciante.
There we go. Gotta speak my language.
I'll cherry pick who I listen to.
Mm-hmm.
But it really is. I really do think that. Comedians, for the most part, are not a pretty people, whereas musicians nowadays tend to be. Back in the day, it wasn't so important. I mean, even teenage girls thought Keith Richards was hot at one point.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So It's just something about the whole mystique of being on stage with an instrument playing music. But I think comedy is one of like the last few things where you can be just butt fucking ugly, or you can be. I mean,
bringing it back to fucking.
Well, no, seriously. I mean, like you can be not socially pretty. Because I mean, let's be honest. Most people in this world are average looking. Most people aren't hideous. Most people aren't beautiful. They fall in the middle.
We all can't be man candy like Aaron over here.
I don't know. I did see him in his work outfit the other day, and I was like, damn, he cleans up well. He aged better than me. He cleans up better than me. This is bullshit, man.
Oh, yeah, you've only known until now unemployed Aaron. I got a job.
The last band we were in, he was called the Male Eye Candy.
There we go. I've never been that. I've just been...
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah, exactly. Just shut up and play your guitar. Okay, but no, seriously. And I mean, look at the like comedians overall. They struggle with this. They, looks issues. What's the quickest way, especially if you're a male, if you're not very handsome, to get a woman's attention?
Oh, you make her laugh.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
I was going to say wallet.
That's what.
Well, I mean,
wait.
To get her attention.
How do you get her attention when you're poor?
Yes,
and not that attractive?
Yeah. Now I would say make her laugh.
Exactly. What's the easiest way to deal with a situation when you walk into a room and you don't know anybody?
Yeah,
it's humor.
Right.
I mean, it's.
Oh, I know it well.
I'm totally guilty of it myself. And you hit on something that I never really thought about. People move around a lot. There was a point in my childhood where me and my mom moved once every 6 months.
That'll isolate you.
I mean, and yeah. I had an older half sister and a younger half brother who wasn't born until I was 15.
Yeah.
I wasn't raised with my sister. So up until I was 15, essentially I was the only child. And that did it.
Right.
I'm sitting in
constantly being the new guy everywhere you go. You can't plant roots. You can't have a peer group.
And I mean, when my mom and my dad split, it was I got his Cheech and Chong records, I got his Bill Cosby albums, I got you know what I'm saying, and it's just everything he listened to that mom was like, I want it because, well, fuck you, I'm pissed at you, we're getting divorced, and I'm keeping it. And then she just threw it in the closet, and I found it around the age of like 8, and she had no idea I was listening to this shit, which is probably a good idea. But yeah, then I found like Sam Kinison, which led me to Bill Hicks, which led me to George Carlin. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've never been a student of many things, but I think comedy is one of them. But I don't consider myself a comedian.
Yeah,
I think I'm an amusing guy, but I'd never stand on fucking stage. You know what I'm saying? And just start laying it out.
That's why I think I'm doing this now. Because I've always really wanted to try stand up. I just don't think I could handle eating it.
It's rough.
As far as
it's rough.
And I just hear it's rough, and it takes like it's one thing to go on stage in a band and have a shitty set, or just you can play shitty and 3 other guys will fucking hold you up.
Yep.
Or it's at least if you finish a song and you get a rousing round of, hey, can I get another beer?
Yeah.
You at least are all in it together. Well, fuck it. And you can have that camaraderie thing. Like,
right, you've got guys, some sort of shield.
Us versus them.
And
where you just have, it's just you and your brain up there.
Yeah, just
comedy.
And I've loved it. And and it started with me when I was, my dad showing me Cosby, but at the same time showing me Carlin, and then getting into, and then finding Bill Hicks on my own. You get into guys like your Dave Attell's, and then you get in, Corolla, and it just leads to now, you with your Mark Marons. And,
but if I can backtrack this a little bit, like, no doubt, Robin Williams had a huge influence on all those people that you just, some of them were contemporaries. Well, I mean, Carlin comes before. Huge influence on any comedian that came after him. But when we started talking this over, we really wanted to come up with like what's the legacy of this man. And I already mentioned the movies that I loved by him. I think that's his legacy was really showing you what a comedian was, that he wasn't a one-sided person. A comedian is a multi-talented, smart person who can think on their feet and can probably act in any situation. So he was one of the first to make that clear transition into, hey, I can be funny, I can go on Letterman, I can make jokes, I can be out of my mind, and I can do that to promote a movie where I am very serious and have a very engaging, emotional...
he showed us comics could act.
Right.
Whereas before when comedians did movies, they did comedian movies.
Right.
Steve Martin did movies,
slapstick.
but he did like The Jerk.
Well,
he did The Man with Two Brains.
Sure, but Steve Martin, who is a contemporary of Robin Williams, we saw Robin Williams made that big move in '91 when he did The Fisher King and Dead Poet Society.
See, I would even say,
and that's what kind of turned people's opinion about him and what comedians could do. Years later, you find Steve Martin doing The Spanish Prisoner. David Mamet film, which if you've never seen, is just fucking amazing, but very, very serious role. I'm not talking about playing the straight man like you would in something like, I don't know, My Blue Heaven, one where he's not like the jokester, the idiot, he does play the straight man, but this was him playing a very dramatic and actually quite intense and a little bit scary at times role. Yeah, we've seen Robin Williams we've seen that side of him too. 1 Hour Photo.
Oh yeah, that's
really intense movie.
World's what is it? World's Best or World's Greatest, Dad?
Yeah, I don't remember.
But you've seen it, right?
Yeah.
It started off, I thought it was going to be a comedy.
Yeah.
And then when his son killed himself, what was it? Was it autoerotic asphyxiation? Where you choke yourself? Yeah.
With Michael Hutchins.
Yeah.
Which strangely, he asphyxiated himself.
Yeah. Which they haven't said how yet.
Right.
Is it? But what does this say about me as a person? Like, I want to know how. I'll say that on the microphone. I'll be the guy who says it.
Do you want to know how because you've known so much about the man? You feel like, okay, I like Robin Williams. I want to know how he died. Or do you want to know how because it's just like I just want the gory details. Show me the fucking photos.
No. Because I'm not a gore guy.
It's almost like reading a novel and not getting to read the last chapter.
Exactly. Because I'll tell you this, I
think
I grew
A
up with Robin
Williams.
Mm-hmm. If I didn't know how that story ended exactly, I'd feel cheated. That seems like a really crass way to put somebody's death. But also, speaking of, there's a lot of. They're not talking a lot about his death. They're giving minimal amounts of information, and I can respect that. But there's two things. First of all, Robin Williams belongs to the world at the end of the day. How many people's lives that he touched? The second part is, let's not just sweep this under the rug about what drove him to this point. These are the rare opportunities where we get to actually have open discourse publicly about something that's usually relegated to the back page and that millions of people suffer from worldwide depression. So, and you could argue that was the same thing that took Philip Seymour Hoffman from us.
You took literally. I was just getting ready to say that,
and all we hear about from that is, oh, it's so sad. Oh, he
was a drug addict, and this
right.
And that.
He was a drug addict because
make that point you made. He made a great fucking point about
either you're depressed and you seek out drugs to help cure your depression, or you're depressed from coming off of drugs. Either way, the two are really closely linked.
No, but we're talking about people think it was an accident.
Oh, yeah. Philip Seymour Hoffman overdosing, that's no accident. This guy
think so?
This guy was a career heroin user. This guy, experienced heroin users do not overdose unintentionally unless something really freaky happens. There's a chance of getting something that you're not aware of, but this is... I'm sure he had a rate. He's not going out on the streets and trying to, score every night. He's got some kind of steady hookup, and he knows how much to do to get him high, and he knows how much to do to kill himself.
But at the same time, it's no different than the kid at a rave who's like, I go to parties.
No, he's a career.
Hold on a sec. Twice a month. Mm-hmm. I know how many pills I can take. I want to take that one more and see if I'm going to get that much more high. And that just happens to be the one that puts him over the edge,
Right.
That's the mentality. See, you can't apply logic to an addict's mind, and I can speak on this because I am an addict. I'm an alcoholic flat out. I'm not trying to have an encounter session. I'm not going to hold your hand and ask you to fucking tell me anything. But it's the truth. It's just all there is to it. And I come from a family of them. Right. You cannot apply logic and reason to the thinking. When I'm in the grips of a binge, I don't think properly. I wake up, I go to the store, I buy a Dirty 30 and a 15-pack and go home and kill it. And then wake up the next day and try to chase the hangover away before it starts by doing it all over again.
Damn.
And
it's a lot of beer.
That's what I said. I told you guys, I had a conversation with a doctor, and he's like, you know what? I'm not even going to waste my breath. I'm going to go talk to someone that wants to live. You figure out whether you want to live, and I'll talk to you. And I was like, oh, shit. But it's always in heroin, and I have no experience with heroin, which I'm very thankful for, but I have a lot of friends that do.
Same here.
It's always that first high, especially when you slam it. That first high is so fucking good. They're like, you never get that high ever again in your entire life. You could go off it for fucking 5 years and then come back with some purer shit that won't kill you, but you're never as high as that first time you push off. And I'm like, well, that sucks. No wonder you guys run around like always trying to catch that first high.
Right.
And then by the time they realize they're not going to, now I'm addicted. Now I try to give it up and I'm sitting on the fucking, it's the basketball diaries over here.
Yeah.
I'm sweating and I'm shaking and I'm shitting myself. And I think there's a stigma attached to drug abuse, alcohol abuse, whatever, substance abuse.
Yeah.
It's the same stigma that's attached to mental health issues, which is, it's your problem. Get over it. Just stop doing it. You're depressed, just stop being depressed.
Yeah.
Anyone who's been clinically depressed or has a chemical imbalance, that's like saying to someone with AIDS, hey, just stop having AIDS. The fuck's wrong? Have you tried not having cancer?
Oh no, they look at the symptoms of depression and think it's the cause.
Exactly.
Well, of course you're depressed. Look at all the dark clothes you wear, all those weird movies that you watch, and all that weird music that you like to listen to. You're making yourself depressed.
Definitely. And you can't, and people like that, it's like, look, I just had a conversation with a guy a couple days ago who saw a couple tours in Iraq. I know his now girlfriend, longer than I've known him, just met him. And she's like, he really doesn't like talk about it. Mm-hmm. 2 hours of being at a party, we kind of wander off by ourselves. Next thing I know, this dude's telling me personal shit about like getting hit with an IED and wiping out half his fucking company.
Yikes. TMI?
No. I was like,
you're into it.
I'd rather him let it out that way. You know what I'm saying? Like, if he saw something in me that he was like, I can have this conversation with this guy, and this guy's not gonna baby killer, fucking Bush lover, right wing. You know what I'm saying? Like,
or probably just do what most people would do is look really uncomfortable, look away, try and change the subject. I think a lot of people are just uncomfortable talking about that type of thing.
Well, yeah, and that's
not him. Like if he was addressing somebody else, they would normally like try and shy away from the subject where you were open to it and engaging him on it.
And it was funny because when his old lady wandered over, she got about 30 seconds to a minute of listening and I was trying to change the conversation.
Right.
And I'm like, you just told me he never opens up to you, to anybody you see.
Well, here's why. Yeah.
Maybe you should let him.
You're not open to it.
Exactly. And that's how depression is. When my dad died, he was severely depressed. And my aunt, who is Christ-loving Bible thumper, it was a demon making him depressed. Really?
Oh, my God.
A demon was making him depressed? Really?
When people say that stuff, all I can think about is that line from George Carlin when he talks about people who believes in angels. What are you, fucking stupid? That's all I think about when I hear shit like that.
Well, what was funny? It took her mother dying of cancer, and then she came to me 2 years later, and she said, I need to apologize to you for something. I was like, okay, what? You never done anything to me, Aunt Teresa. And she goes, remember when your dad died, and I said depression was a demon, and it was his own fault? I got severely depressed when my mom died. I get it. It's not. And I'm like, oh, okay, you don't have to apologize for coming around to the, normal way of thinking. I understood that the water was muddy in your mind. Stupid. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But I mean, here's my fear. Ultimately, nothing's going to come of this. His death. Maybe it will spark a few people to have conversations that they wouldn't have had, and it might help a few people. But in the mainstream, it's going to be just another tragic artist end. They're self-destructive.
Right.
The Hendrix Morrison thing, the Kurt
Cobain
thing.
It's the same.
They're gonna dismiss it. They're gonna blame it on drugs.
But your conversation with the gentleman who was in the service is a perfect correlation for this, because when people want to talk about the dark side of this, they will try and steer the conversation more towards, well, let's remember he was a comedian. Let's remember him as he would want to be remembered, as the funny man. Let's only concentrate on what he gave to us during his life, not what he can give to us in his death, which is maybe some insight as to what happens with people who suffer from depression and how we can get ahead of this.
Exactly. And to me, you can't watch some of his movies, especially his movies, like you said, post-91, and not see a man who'd been through some shit and was able to channel that into his acting.
You even saw, even on his lighter roles of that later period, Toys or Jack, there is still a sadness in there. That repressed child in there.
Even if you go back and look at a movie like Good Morning Vietnam, which was pretty much billed when I was a kid as a comedy.
Right.
It's really, I guess it would be a dramedy, considered that these days. There's some heavy shit in there, man.
That whole movie is about using humor to mask your fear, anxiety, and depression.
Exactly.
That's what it's about. It's like, we're all stuck in this fucked up situation. Let's just have a couple laughs while we can.
The scene where all those guys are getting ready to get shipped out of Saigon and go into the shit, and he's stuck in traffic with them, and one of them, oh shit, you're the DJ, blah blah blah, do something for us, and he starts talking to him and getting their personal stories out of them. I know vets that like said that touched them more than any fucking movie like Platoon or Full Metal Jacket did.
Right.
Like, they watched Platoon and Full Metal Jacket, and they were like, yeah, that's Hollywood's version of what happened. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's
or Born on the 4th of July.
Well,
or was that more accurate?
That was more accurate about the treatment they said they got when they came home, more so than the actual war part of it. But yeah, I mean, he had all that, and that's what's going to suck is because I know for the next week. First of all, I sitting in traffic on the way over here, I just click on Facebook, listen to our Monday podcast, then sat for another hour listening to radio because I was in that bad of traffic, and was flipping through Facebook and just saw post after post after post after post.
While he was stopped, by the way.
And literally. And I knew it was coming. I knew there's one in every crowd eventually.
The joke? The too soon joke?
Nope. What the fuck are you people fucking posting rest in peace and talking about him for? You didn't fucking know him. What the fuck does it matter? He's a fucking celebrity. He's dead. Big fucking deal. What the fuck is he to you? And I'm just like...
A lot.
Here we go. There's one in every crowd. The person who just has to be such a bitter, cynical motherfucker. And right. I am one, but I'm not that bitter and cynical.
Come on.
You know what I'm saying? You're telling me that there's never been anyone you've never met personally whose work, music, literature, art has never touched you? Then you're fucked in the head and you need some fucking serious therapy.
Yeah, if nothing's ever touched you emotionally, you got problems.
Yeah,
you can go
big time.
Sit and talk to somebody with a degree.
Yeah.
Pay them.
What if all of Metallica was wiped out in a bus crash? Then you'd be talking about him like you knew him.
Oh yeah.
Oh
yeah. Because you know what, kind of. You. It's scary that you don't know this person I'm talking about, but you
know this person that he's talking about.
I know the type
because like every year I see rest in peace Dimebag, rest in peace Cliff Burton. You know what I'm saying? Like,
and that's a person who touched your life,
but. He ain't a pussy comedian, man. Come on, man. It's the dude bro mentality, but we've already covered that. But yeah, I mean, do you really honestly think that this is going to do anything for like mental health? It's going to bring anything to the forefront?
I really hope that it does, but no, I don't. I think honestly, it's one of these generational things. It's like racism and gay marriage and legalization of weed. It's things that the older generations are not going to change their mind, and we're just going to have to eventually weed out those people. And the newer generations are more open-minded to it. We're still the reason we still have such trouble dealing with depression is because we refuse to acknowledge it in most situations. Acknowledge it as a clinical disorder, as a brain disorder, and not just a funk that you can get yourself out of. Mm-hmm. You know?
Yes, I think we're taught to handle people with kid gloves with depression, and we really should be taught to be more more engage them rather than try to
maybe. But the example I'm thinking of is that I know people who suffer from depression who their parents have told them there's no such thing as depression is to them is like being bummed out. Like when somebody dies, yes, you're depressed.
They haven't been trained to handle it. Well, they've been
Yeah, but these are people who also suffer from depression too, and they don't even realize it in their own lives.
You've been trained to think it's a defect rather than something that you can get past.
Right.
That's just as society. I think that's just how we've kind of, and it's turning out to not be working well for us.
Well, also in Western culture, we have that whole, Western culture, American culture, we have that whole rugged individual. You know, the old school style, the John Wayne, the Gary Cooper, the quiet, strong, silent type. And, you know, they would never sit on a fucking couch and be analyzed. And it's like, yeah, well, there was a line in The Sopranos.
Right, they would shoot it out.
Yeah.
These guys.
glory. But no, there was a line in Sopranos that it was Tony and Dr. Melfi, and he goes, why am I sitting here whining to you? Why do you listen to this? And she goes, why do you think trying to find happiness is something that is pussy, or, you know, as you call it, faggy, or whatever he said. Mm-hmm. And he goes, because real men don't sit around and whine about shit. She goes, well, once we've satisfied the basic needs of survival, shelter, food, companionship, you know, isn't it natural that we start trying to deal with the deeper issues of survival? So that we're not just surviving, we actually enjoy life.
Right.
And I don't think many people do enjoy life.
No.
I mean, I know I struggle to. It's something I've had to work on the last 5 years a lot, is to just not treat everything as static. Whereas if I'm pissed at this person today, I've always been pissed at this person, no matter what. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right. To
take things as they come and to let them go. And to learn to enjoy the little things. And it makes me sound like a fucking fruit. I know, I sound... as my buddy says, you sound like a fucking twink.
No, it doesn't. It makes you sound like somebody who wants to be well-adjusted. Who doesn't... Dude, it's... I heard a quote a couple years ago, and it's whatever. Maybe it's deep, maybe it's not that deep. But people talk about life is short. No, life's fucking long. Well, if you're doing it right, life's long, and that's a long fucking time to be miserable.
Yeah, and our brains have allowed us to develop technology to free up hours of our days now. Mm-hmm. We have more free time than ever. Most of us are just fucking bored, which is natural. And if you don't give yourself a new challenge, then, you are going to just kind of rot the rest of your life away in depression. What do you have to live for? Just the next day? I mean, it could be something as simple as just, a thirst for knowledge, but not even everybody has that. They figure, I learned as much as I need to get to my job, done.
Yeah. And
now I can retire my brain. And your brain's not shutting off. It's like... like you're giving it plenty of TV and everything to try and sedate it, but it's not shutting off. It's constantly working. If you don't give it something to work on,
when your brain,
it's going to run itself in circles.
When your brain stops processing information, that's because you're dead.
Right.
You are literally dead.
Yeah. Oh, and I think we're going to talk about this on our Wiesman podcast, but that discussion on Dr. Drew's show, the guy who studies, I don't know, he's a neurologist.
Dr. Andrew Mitchell. I made sure I read this guy's name.
Dr. Andrew Mitchell.
He said a lot of interesting
Why does this sound
He's a
very
neurologist.
familiar?
And they were talking about, there was two things that they mentioned, because they were talking about drug use in younger kids and how it can affect them. And he's like, well, let's be clear on this. You're really malleable at that age, but your brain never really stops growing. And the other point that he made is that nothing's irreversible. Your brain is so malleable that and adaptable to situations. It's much more elastic than most people think.
Now, is this that's in relation to drug use, or?
That's where the conversation came from, yeah.
Okay, I have to ask, because Dr. Drew...
Yeah?
Me and Doug Stanhope agree on this when it comes to Dr. Drew. He's just a pimp for the 12 fucking step programs, and I can't stand that motherfucker, because he talks about, no, you don't need God to be sober, and then you pimp these 12 step programs, which are clearly based on Judeo-Christian fucking...
He's not pimping the programs, he's pimping the process.
Look...
Okay, but what I'm saying is, what was his take on the fact that drug use and the quote unquote damage done to your brain from drug use is reversible? Because he actually believes that it's irreversible. Yeah. That in later years you can reverse some of the effects of drug use, of like long-term marijuana use. But yeah, he believes as an adult you can reverse these effects, whereas if these things affect you in early development, they are irreversible. That's what Dr. Drew believes.
Yes, that that the way that marijuana will change your brain chemistry will be permanent, because your brain's developing at that point. See, it's just not true.
Well, and not
by
marijuana.
The way, his take on that step in the process is it's not about believing in a higher power. It's about believing in something greater than you.
Yourself. I know. God, good orderly drunks, or group of drunks, or good orderly...
But here's a man who deals with this issue on a daily basis. He has helped thousands of people. I bet you if there is a better system in place to help these people that had nothing to do with religion, he would use it. Or even just as good a system that had no influence from religion. Religion really doesn't have anything to do with it from his perspective. It's just the best possible system that we have, and he's seen the results.
I know, but he's
a doctor. His decisions are based on results.
I understand that,
but pesky science.
That man can't. The man sits there and tries to come off like he's helping people, and this and that. Then he has something like celebrity rehab. Mm-hmm. That's a fucking joke. Okay, anyone who's trying to seriously get clean, you don't stick a camera in their face. That way they start acting a fucking fool. You have to get real when you want to get clean.
If you listen to the last episode of the Adam and Dr. Drew podcast, I can't remember the guest, but he really puts the screws to Drew and calls him on some of his shit. And they have a really interesting discussion that might help enlighten some of your opinion on Dr. Drew. I'm not saying it'll change your mind, but I would recommend listening to it. Because,
I'm open to it.
Because I don't want to make it, this whole thing about somebody else's podcast. But
well, no,
Brian Koppelman.
Brian Koppelman, yeah. And, they kind of stuck it to him a little bit for, they called him, and they didn't call him a shill, but they were kind of calling him a shill. And somebody's just propped up that, just to get conversations flowing that are really controversial.
Well, the one thing I will say is that there's in his celebrity rehab or halfway house or whatever the fuck it was, because he had a couple different shows.
Yeah.
Celebrity rehab being the flagship of that one, though. I remember that much. He had a guy that worked for him that was Bob. I can't remember his name. Anyways, he was the lead singer for Thelonious Monster.
Yeah.
Like huge in the LA music scene. Played with everybody from Jane's Addiction, Chili Peppers, anyone who was not the glam LA music scene, he was in with.
Yeah.
And this guy went through pure hell with addiction. And he's the guy with the glasses and the hat that's in Celebrity Rehab. If you've ever seen the show.
Yeah, that guy.
I never really watched it. So
yeah, okay. I know who you're talking about.
I've seen some of them.
Gotcha.
Here and there, but
the interesting thing is that he very much so is not really down with the whole 12-step. He's definitely not down with the better living through chemistry for addicts. Because you have Suboxone for people on heroin or methadone. Or, of course, when it's an alcoholic who is physically dependent upon alcohol, you have to give them, anti-seizure medication, stuff like that to win, because they could die.
Yeah.
But not as a way of life. And that's why these pharmaceutical companies set it up. And kind of like Dr. Drew. But anyways.
Well, yeah, but Dr. Drew he is against methadone.
Is he for Suboxone, though?
I don't know.
Because that's
but his whole thing on methadone is it's just another. It does actually more damage to the body than heroin does, and is just as addictive. It's just an easier way to maintain.
Okay,
but it's not a step in the right direction, according to him.
What I'm getting at is that this
we'll be writing the Dr. Drew Club fan club letter later after this podcast over me and Aaron.
I know I'm outnumbered and outgunned on this one. It was coming. I knew it. It was just we had to find the subject, so that's cool. I'm a big boy. I can take my lumps.
We both grew up on Love Line.
Oh, so, I did too. I did too. But anyways, what I was getting at is Bob, whatever his name, I can't remember his last name. Anyways, he's very involved with Dr. Drew. He's very involved with the process of making these shows and stuff. And him and Drew have very different philosophies on stuff, but they put them aside and work together because he even says, I don't agree with everything Drew does, but in the end, he really is trying to help people. So I can respect him on that one. Mm-hmm. I just have real, it's just a personal thing. Like, you're telling me that I get pulled over drunk driving, or you get busted with a fucking joint in your pocket in the wrong city, where they're fucking going to run your ass.
Yeah.
Okay, you get in front of the judge. You can either do time, or you can go to NA or AA. And then you're going to get there, and all you're going to hear is, God, 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 God. That fucking book is full of that shit. Mm-hmm. I've read it cover to cover, both of them, NA and AA, the big books. And then you're going to have someone, if you went to the judge, I don't want to go. I want to go to something like, how about rational recovery without the spiritual bullshit? Well, that's not recognized by the state. Why is the state recognizing a 12-step program that God is the center of the entire fucking thing?
Good point.
That's my issue. And when Drew tries to say, well, I mean, it's just a something greater than you, that's such a cop-out. Because when you go to these meetings, they're not going to tell you, you can fucking look at your cat as your higher power. You can look at your guitar as your higher power. They're going to tell you a being greater than yourself. And that's the first step down the road to something you can't see, you can't touch.
Right.
And you have to take it on faith. The minute you take something on faith, you're not asking for rational or logical reasons anymore. You accept anything that's given to you on faith. You don't need proof. That's my issue with that. Anyways, I'm done. My rant's over.
I was holding that in.
Perfect timing, though. I like that.
Everybody sing along.
I'm sorry, I don't know this one.
It's called Sunshine, Lollipops, and Rainbows Everywhere.
Oh.
It's going with the tones of the discussions we've had today.
I don't know if it's been an angry one, but it's been a...
No, we've gone into some deep shit. We've gone into definitely some deep, dark corners of...
Fuck it. Sometimes you need to go there. Shine a light in those corners. That way we don't have to fucking worry about them anymore.
No, I mean, it's been that kind of week for it being... death has been like the theme of the day for me, so I mean...
Yeah.
You know,
I didn't even I realized after I sent you the text about Robin Williams' suicide that you were at a funeral.
Yeah.
And like,
no, I was coming back from one.
Right.
It's just a funeral home, but yeah.
Way to pile on.
Right.
No, that's what I was like, okay, well, today, not the cheeriest theme running through today, but, you know, whatever. We're going to wrap it up for another week. Because, yeah, this will be the end of this week. Yeah, we're actually in real time, sort of. We're actually in the week we'll be releasing. So that's it for this week. Thank you for listening if you've made it. And, hey, you know, we're sorry. Cheer up.
It's honestly... It will get better. It's okay. You know?
You want to hear a song again?
This is a good conversation. I think we tackled a lot of issues that we've kind of skirted around in the past. These are
It's
heavy
all
issues.
your fault. You said war.
I know.
And
I was
religion.
like, hey, we haven't talked about religion, so let's continue. Oh no, I guess we're going to talk about religion.
Well, no. Here's the thing. We all pretty much agree on religion, but we found the one person who is divisive about a religion. Like, I'm like, fuck Dr. Drew because of his 12-step shit. And you're like, we love Dr. Drew.
We agree on war and religion, but Dr. Drew,
Fuck that
we are a
motherfucker.
house divided.
No, it's not all like that. I understand he does good work. I mean, just real quick, for anybody listening, you really want to hear someone savage Dr. Drew, listen to Doug Stanhope's take on him. It's fucking brutal. But yet he went on his show and he goes, look, I understand. There's no ill will in your heart.
I've heard podcasts with Dr. Drew and Doug Stanhope on them.
And Doug Stanhope flat out says, he goes, I know it's not malicious. You're not doing it out of, trying to make a buck. He goes, I did think that until I met you. Mm-hmm. Now that I've met you, he goes, I just think you're misguided. And then Dr. Drew goes, well, I think you need to get to a fucking meeting because you drink every day, Doug.
Yeah, I was going to say, Doug Stanhope, by the way, is a raging alcoholic if you know anything about Doug Stanhope.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm sure Dr. Drew is used to catching criticism from alcoholics and drug addicts.
Oh, definitely.
All day long.
Yeah.
I'm telling him that he doesn't know what he's talking about.
I heard a podcast, it was the Bert Kreischer podcast. Doug Stanhope showed up to do Bert Kreischer's podcast. That is at his house with his wife and his children. After a night of doing cocaine with Marilyn Manson, doesn't even sleep. Just rolls over to Bert Kreischer's house in like a 70s leisure suit, still drunk, been doing cocaine with Marilyn Manson the night before. And hung out at Bert Kreischer's. They did so much podcast, it was a 2-part podcast. Doug Stanhope ends up eating dinner with Bert Kreischer's family and his kids.
So the cocaine wore off and he actually got hungry.
Yeah.
All right. Excellent.
But yeah, Doug Stanhope, it's still a party for Doug. So I could see why maybe he's got a little bit of ill will. Maybe just he's Dr. Drew's big giant buzzkill. Like, hey, stop going around killing the party.
Well, he did admit something on a podcast I heard because Dr. Drew was like, okay, it was him and Patton Oswalt going back and forth about AA, and Dr. Drew was kind of mediating. Yeah. And Patton Oswalt was like, well, this is what saved my life, and I would be dead without AA. And, Doug Stanhope's thing was, if everybody in the world disappears tomorrow besides you, you're going to be sober if you want to and you choose to be sober. No one's going to stop you. You don't have a meeting to have. And there's going to be all the booze in the world laying around for you to pick up. You're going to make a decision. Mm-hmm. It is a conscious decision. You don't choose whether you're an alcoholic, but you choose whether you feed that fucking alcoholism.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, that makes sense to me. And then Dr. Drew was, well, whatever. But anyways, Drew was like, so why don't you just quit drinking, Doug? He goes, oh, Drew, I've been drinking for so many years. If I stopped right now, probably in about 3 days, I'd be flopping on the floor like a fucking fish out of water with the fucking seizures and shit. And Dr. Drew's like, and ladies and gentlemen, this is the man who thinks I don't know what I'm talking about. So I was kind of like Point Drew.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, no, just if Doug Stanhope talks about how he has to get drunk to be funny in his stand-up.
Yeah. Well, also, I understand his point about, a personal choice. But how do you make a rational choice in a drug-addled mind? If you are seriously addicted to a drug, that means that is your primary concern. How do you make something else supplant that without having a system in place? That's really why the 12-step program works. There's a system in place to work.
System of extraction.
Right.
No, but when you start getting to admit to myself, another person, and a higher power my faults, ask that higher power to remove all faults from me.
Yeah, I'm not discrediting it. I agree with you on that point.
And I have been to... Oh, okay. Well, fuck it. We're just going to say the name of it. They're very close to the beginning of the phone book. I have been to some of their meetings where they have agnostic and atheist meetings.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? I have no problem with those meetings.
Yeah.
Because they just go, see all this shit? Out the fucking window. Okay, we all know what's up. There's no need to play fucking, what's it, Sky Daddy?
Yeah, that's copyright Todzilla.
No need to pray to Sky Daddy. We all know what's up. We all know that we're going to help each other stay sober. Because that's what it really is about. That's what ultimately those groups are about, 12-step programs are about, is the camaraderie of it. My problem is that I go to them and they go, do you have friends that smoke weed? Yeah.
You have to cut them out of your life. You can't hang out with them anymore.
That's no good.
I'm not here because I smoke weed.
And I'm like, I've literally never had a problem smoking weed, except for that. I cough a lot. And they're like, well, that's still a drug. And, or if you go to NA, they'll flat out, alcohol is a drug. Like, that's their mantra when they give their, beginning speech every fucking time. Yeah, it's the same
but
thing.
A lot of
Can we cut the bullshit? Just say, listen, you can't hang around other people for a while.
Well, they'll tell you that too.
Yeah, because a lot of people who on their own say, oh, I'm going to kick this drug, just end up supplanting it with something else.
Oh, definitely.
It goes from heroin to booze, from, cocaine to sex.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and I have friends that will openly admit to me on a one-on-one conversation that's what they've done. Then I have friends who go, remember I used to drink like a fish? Now I work like a dog. Remember I used to do coke like fucking like, there's your line. Here's a garden hose to do it with. I work out constantly.
Right.
And it's like...
So, I mean, yeah, if you can channel that into something that's healthy and can, help you out.
Healthier.
Yeah.
Positive, as long as it's positive in the end,
Right.
I think that's a good thing.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what bums me out, is it's hard to find people to do stuff like that with who've had the same experience, because everyone's always, oh, what are we going to do? Let's have a sober softball team. There's nothing more boring than sober softball. Let me tell you something. I love baseball. I love the statistics of it and everything. I've sat enough baseball games sober by myself and been like, unless there's someone here to talk to or I have booze of some sort, this is really boring. You know what I'm saying? Ooh, look, they just turned a double play. Yay. Play It Takes Two yet again, But, all right, so. Oh, boy. We're going to whip out the Ren and Stimpy.
Just because we don't want to leave him on a dark note.
Yeah. Come on, everybody.
Can we play Log next?
Sorry.
That actually cheers me up more.
Yeah. Sorry we bummed you out.
I don't think you're happy enough. That's right. I'll teach you to be happy. I'll teach your grandmother to suck eggs. Well, boys and girls, let's try it again.
All right, that's a warning shot.
Happy, joy, joy, happy, oh, meeting's over.
We took the shot across the bow. The enemy's mad.
Happy, joy, joy, joy.
And there you go. Thank you for listening, liking, and sharing Unregimented on Facebook and following us on Twitter at unregimentedpod. Also, unregimented at christophermedia.net. Email. Remember, we were asking for if you want to make your little recording of you saying, hey, this is blankety blank, and you're listening to blankety blank on blankety blank. Indeed, if you send that actual quote, you're a dick. Because you just wasted all that time and energy to send me nothing.
I'm just going to cut that out and post it. As
yeah, hey, this is blankety blank.
That would almost be cool, though, to use that as a promo.
Yeah, I know, right? You could I rewrote this and I'm fucking myself up because I haven't read through it more than once. You can subscribe to Unregimented on iTunes for free by clicking through the iTunes banner on ChristopherMedia.net. Android users, you can find Unregimented on Stitcher Radio. You can donate to Christopher Media using the PayPal button on ChristopherMedia.net. You can help to save podcasting by clicking through the Amazon banner, bookmarking the page. When you buy something, Amazon's going to donate a part of each purchase to the Podcast Legal Defense Fund, helping to save podcasting.
A noble cause.
Yes, from those dickheads at Personal Audio. Hey, if you're looking to launch your own website, click through the HostGator banner at ChristopherMedia.net. That's who we use to host all of the Christopher Media shows, like this one, Unregimented, every Monday, and I believe today is Thursday. For you, it's Thursday. For us, we'll let you guess what day this actually is.
They'll know.
Ha! Well,
I said today. We talked about Robin Williams dying today. Oh. They'll know exactly what day we recorded this.
God damn it. Thwarted again. The Weedsman podcast, that happens every Friday. And sometimes in bonus nuggets, they show up on Tuesday. Apparently I heard people who get high like to talk a lot. So sometimes there's stuff left over.
Boy, if you like tangents.
Yeah.
You like the Weedsman. Actually, we go on a lot of tangents here, too.
Yeah.
It's kind of our bread and butter.
Yeah.
And Eminem Question Everything, they're every Sunday. And the Todzilla X Pod, he tries to shoot for Tuesday, but in reality, it's whenever he fucking feels like.
I just got to say something real quick. I don't know you. That's my purse. That cracked me the fuck up about Eminem when I heard that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I was like, what do you mean no one gets King of the Hill? I get King of the Hill. That's when Bobby took the self-defense class for women. And Hank was like, oh, Lord, you know.
They will appreciate that you know that.
Oh, definitely.
We gotta do, they record on Saturdays. We gotta
get some crosstalk.
Yeah, they got Skype, we got Skype. We keep talking about it and we don't do it. Todd also sent me a
team up.
Todd sent me a message at like fucking 5:30 in the morning. But he heard our episode 11 and said, "Hey man, whenever you guys do a political show, let me know." And I said, "Really?
We don't know until it gets started."
Oh, that's exactly what I told him. I said, "Usually there's politics on the agenda, but it just kind of does its thing."
Yeah.
So maybe we'll get him on here on we usually record on Wednesdays.
Well, I have a feeling if we get Todd on the show, the conversation is going to be directed where he wants it to go anyway. So
yeah, and you know,
which is fine.
Getting Todd within the four of us, that's going to be a week's worth of shows. That's going to be like 5 hours of audio. So I mean, that'll be cool. It'll be like Toddzilla week.
It'd be like X-Men versus the Avengers from the 80s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're trying to save Shadowcat.
Well, I mean, one show alone could be me, you, and Todd just talking about specs, because he went there too.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. So, I mean, that
the true radio for three.
There's an hour and a half.
Talking about sexy specs? Specs, I know. Never mind. It was a joke. That's right. Find your little, there you go.
There you go. But we were talking, I'm plugging HostGator, so click through that link on the website.
Oh, yeah.
And finally, DraftKings, one-day fantasy sports, no being locked into one team for an entire season. You could draft a new team every day. None of the, a lot of fantasy football drafts are coming up. A lot of turds about to be laid. It's last couple of years I figured out my draft strategy where I've went wrong. Wait, that's not even talking about DraftKings. See? Won't even have to have this conversation with DraftKings because I could just draft a new goddamn team tomorrow. Christopher Media listeners are winning real money every day at DraftKings. Fantasy football, it's back in a big way with their $5 million kickoff bash. It's happening kickoff week. Look through the banner on ChristopherMedia.net. Sign up today. Okay, that is going to do it. And we will catch you next week.
All right, thanks for listening.
Later, guys.
If you enjoy this show and want more people to know about it, head on over to iTunes, leave a comment, and rate it 5 stars. Make sure you like and share us on Facebook, and don't forget to follow us on Twitter. Just search for Christopher Media. Thank you in advance for supporting Christopher Media by clicking on the PayPal button and by clicking through to all the sponsors who support ChristopherMedia.net. Most importantly, we would like to take the time to extend an extra special thanks to you. Christopher Media could not exist without your support. Thank you for visiting ChristopherMedia.net, and thank you for listening. Christopher Media. Let's make some noise.
There's a new Home Depot now open on Maurice Avenue in Maspeth. And as home improvement projects go, this is a big one. Use the product locator on our app for an in-store map to find what you need fast. And check out our new pickup lockers. They make online shopping a breeze. Of course, one thing's not new, our everyday low prices. The Home Depot, now open near Maurice Avenue and Long Island Expressway in Maspeth, and always open at homedepot.com. The Home Depot, how doers get more done. There's a new Home Depot now open on Maurice Avenue in Maspeth, and as home improvement projects go, this is a big one. Use the product locator on our app for an in-store map to find what you need fast, and check out our new pickup lockers. They make online shopping a breeze. Of course, one thing's not new, our everyday low prices. The Home Depot, now open near Maurice Avenue